Now for the first ART review. This is the 7 train. The 7 starts off at Kennedy, Main Street, and Krypton. It uses an entire line local and enters Potatoburg towards Halston Yards, which is its last stop. Now since this is a 7 ripoff, there's also the Diamond 7, which runs peak direction express on the middle track to either Halston Yards or Main Street. However, in the current version of the game, you can only go northbound express, which sucks, but at least express exists. But anyway, since we're talking about express, there's also the 11 train. It runs similar to the 7, but after getting to Scarborough Plaza, the 11 splits from the 7 and enters Potatoburg for one stop, and then enters Westpotod. In the classic game, its southern terminal is South Broadway, transferring to the 4, 5, and 6 trains. But after the release, the 11 was extended to Suffolk Avenue, meeting with the 1 and 2 trains. Note that these 2 trains are currently the only lines to go to Krypton, which makes them kind of unique. Now, the reason I bring up the 11 when talking about express service is because during off-peak hours, the 11 goes express in the peak direction, with the Diamond 7 taking over during rush hours. On late nights, the 11 is shortened to Scarborough Plaza, which I don't really mind. And the fact the 11 uses the upper level of Scarborough lets you do some amazing shots like this with the 7. The trains the 7 and 11 uses canonically is the R62, PLT3, R142, and R188, with some Redbirds sneaking into service here and there. Note that these 2 are the only lines to not have any PSD trains in their fleet. There are also some other trains in the game that may or may not be canon, such as the R110A, R220, which it has been removed, I forgot, a SEPTA M4, a CTA 2600 series, and a past PA1. What are these train cars here? Well, that's for you to find out, for me to not know at all. Performance-wise, the 7 and 11 are pretty good at their job, which is bringing access into Krypton while also giving access to ML Stadium at Lexicon Field, so you can get to a baseball game rather quickly. And when the game ends, expect a whole shit ton of crowding. So, to combat this, the 7 and 11 Super Express comes out, stopping at stations with major transfers, skipping Steinway Street, High Court Boulevard, Dukes Avenue, Arcadia Square, Grand Street, and 11th Road. But expect some delays on the 11 due to needing to go express on the 2-track branch. Now, the main problem with the 7 and 11 is just the L design. Living near Kennedy, I can tell you that the L is pretty loud. I don't want to sound like a jackass from saying that. Trust me, my ears aren't that bad. But it is really loud. And please tell me don't go under the L while an express train goes by, or say goodbye to your hearing. The L itself is pretty old too, with the only major rebuild I can think of that happened recently was back in the 90s, which was 30 years ago. So the creaking the L makes is both loud and concerning. Probably won't be long until the L starts to fall apart too. But now just get to the history trip. The 7 was started service in 1905. But it was only a small, separated branch line owned by the Potato and Greater Catalan Railway, a standard gauge commuter railroad. The branch line would technically be a shuttle running only between High Court Boulevard and Grand Junction. It would be extended to Scarborough in 1906, which would be the north terminal of the new WPT Union Line, running from South Broadway. The line would be bought up by the ART in 1907, which coincided with an extension to Steinway Street and rush hour service, with WPT trains running with it under due contracts. The Potato and Greater Catalan Railway would close in 1910. The first crash would happen on June 11, 1910, when a 2-car elevated train would fall down the tracks at the bend before Coengie Street, completely destroying the first half. Half of the first car's passengers died in the crash, with 39 more being injured. This became the worst crash in ART history, and the 4th worst in PTA history. Sing Street and 103rd Street will open in 1915, Bryant Park opening in 1916, Lexicon Field in 1917, and Main Street opening in 1918. Dual contract operation on Kennedy would end in 1920, with the Union Line falling under ART control. Signed as 11. Second crash happened on December 23, 1924, when a Kennedy-bound 11 train derailed and fell off its level at Scarborough Plaza onto the 7th level, locking service to Herald Square for a day. On November 17, 1945, the stone structure surrounding Steinway Street was starting to become unstable due to over 20 years of rain wearing it down. The ART acted quickly with 7 train service being split from either Main Street to St. Street or from 65th Street to Herald Square, with express service being completely suspended. 11 trains were shortened to Scarborough Plaza. The rebuild would be finished on April 30th, 1945. But that wouldn't be the end of the line's instability, because on April 5th, 1978, the elevated portion from Arcadia Square to Dukes Avenue was beginning to fall apart, and it was starting to shake so much that trains wouldn't run if winds exceeded 45 miles per hour. This closed off the Union Line from Kennedy, with 11 trains staying in Westpotod, running between South Broadway and Grand Street. A temporary shuttle bus would run between Steinway Street to Kobayashi Street to have at least some Krypton access to Westpotod. This rebuild will be completed during March of 1979. On May 6th of the same year, 11 trains will be extended to Suffolk Avenue. And on September 13th, 2015, the 7th train will get a one-stop extension to 11th Street, Halston Yards, with certain rush hour local trains short-trailing at Herald Square. You know, that's the reason why they cut the middle track. Now for the last two crashes. On May 19th, 2021, a 7 express train derailed and went onto the southbound track after a rod ate a small piece of the track, killing 2 people and injuring 19. And on January 11th of this year, the last car of a 7 train jumped the tracks and derailed on the curve at Scarborough Plaza. The cause is currently unknown. I don't actually know the injury numbers either. I know nobody died, it was a minor crash, but every other source doesn't really say who died or who didn't. So, yeah, I'm not gonna include that because I just don't know. 5 whole lines of history. That's fucking amazing. All this coming from just 2 lines. Now, I like the 7 and 11. The 7 slightly less, but I can't hate them. History-wise, fantastic. Reliability, amazing. Now timing. For a 7, expect every 5 to 6 minutes. The 11 is kind of the same, but the express takes longer. No shit. But sometimes the gaps are longer when both are on Kennedy. On their own, they come in quick. The transfers are very nice too. They connect to every line together. And they have some useful bus transfers too, in case you want to bother with those. Now for the trivia. The 7 and 11's announcements were done by Hamza. He has no official canon name yet. He also does the 4, 5, and 6 trains. I don't have any audio snip of the announcements, so you gotta wait for a bit. The Kennedy lines are the only game built past 2021 to be classified as a classic game. The 11 received PX0As, though it only ran on there like twice. Enough trivia. Now I'll give the 7-Eleven a 9.9 out of 10. A great duo of lines with useful routes, so you can't go wrong with them. This is Ombi for Multi-Topic. You guys have a great night, and thank you for watching.